Hey everybody, it's Christina from Redefine Creative, and I am back with another process video using my February for the Love of Homemade kits. And so I have this picture of some of my absolute favorite tiramisu that I always get when my friends come into town because it is so yummy. And I knew that it would work perfectly with this bold black and white stripe, so it has like a wider stripe than some of the other paper that I have. And so I knew that it would be a perfect fit. And so I was just trying to measure the big stripes because what I want to do is take one stripe of this bright floral paper from my kit that I have left over and put it right over the top of one of the black stripes. So I'm adding just a pop of color. And so this is a really good way to kind of stretch your pattern paper. Like I've been using that one sheet of floral paper for so many things this month, which is awesome. And it adds just a really cool pop of color on that black and white stripe. So I'm going to cover up just one of the black stripes and it's going to have the floral. And then what I'm going to do is flip over this top right hand corner because I know I want my photo on the left corner, like the left side. So I'm going to flip over the right side and I'm going to add just another little piece of this floral paper in that corner. So it's going to be peeking out behind that spot where I flipped over the corner. And because this paper has this black and white, like big polka dot on the other side, I'm going to get just a touch of that polka dot. And I really like that look of kind of the big bold polka dot with the big bold stripe. Looks kind of cool together in my opinion. And I'm going to end up doing some stuff to alter it and create an embellishment cluster up there in a little bit. So I don't have a ton left from this particular kit. So I'm just going to kind of play around with some of the patterns to put them behind my photo cluster. So I went ahead and took my 4x4 picture, and that was just a 4x6 that I trimmed down, and I put a white and a black cardstock border, and then I'm going to put this text paper behind that, and I'm cutting it with scissors, and I'm not really paying a whole lot of attention to whether it's super straight. Like I want it a little bit wonky, and I wanted to keep that one highlighted word up at the top. So I am good with it not being straight, like I intentionally made it kind of wonky. And then I'm going to take a little strip of this orange diagonal print paper, and I'm going to add that behind my photo clusters as well. Sorry about the noise in the background, guys. We have all the doors and windows open because it's a super nice day here in Arizona, so I apologize if you're getting more background noise than usual. And so I'm going to go ahead and do some stamping. So I had pulled out 2 stamp sets for this particular, for the Love of Homemade kits. This one is from Crafty Jen Scout, and I absolutely love it, and I haven't gotten to play around with it yet. So it has this really bold heart that says, "This is so amazing." And so I'm going to use a couple of those, and then I'm also going to play around with some of the other stamps. So I'm going to end up using, I think, 3 different ones from this particular set. I do go back to my stash to find some additional ink colors that are going to match with this particular pattern paper. And it does take a little bit of trial and error here to find ink pads that are handy, that are going to work. So I just kind of flip through all of my Catherine Pooler inks because they are my favorite to try and decide which ones I want to use. So I'm going to pull out this one, which is Eucalyptus, and I'm going to test it on my little sheet of pattern paper, and I do that off screen. And then I'm going to go ahead and stamp it inside that big circle that I have up in that top corner. And I really love how that looks. And then I'm going to go ahead and fussy cut these 2 orange hearts that I created. And so I'm going to have those as well. And one of them is going to go up in that top cluster, and then one of them is going to come down here by my photo. And so I love that one. The green one says 100% obsessed, or maybe a little bit more. And I think that one's also super cute, and it works perfectly for this particular layout. So then I'm just going to keep pulling and going back to my kit to find little pieces of things that are going to work. And I had pulled out these Heidi Swapp little embellishments. I've had them in my stash like literally forever, you guys. And I pulled them out because I wanted to use one on a project yesterday, which you will see coming up soon. That was the heart one. And so today I'm going to use these little like almost mint colored circles. So I'm going to cut one piece to use in this top little fold over corner, and then I'm going to have one piece in my in my photo mat embellishment cluster area. And then I'm just pulling out the ephemera that I have, sorry guys, that I have in my kit for this month. And I'm thinking I'm going to use these vellum wreaths that have the black and white. And so that's kind of where I start. It's not so much going to be where I end up, but it is where I'm going to start pulling things out. And I'm just flipping through all of that ephemera, trying to decide what I want to use. Now, I know that I'm going to have a title of some kind on that first white line above my pattern paper. So I'm trying to put a little bit of embellishment detail over there because I know that that's where my title is going to go. And then I'm just tucking in, like I'm trying to kind of vary. Some of them are printed on vellum, some of them are printed on cardstock. So I'm adding a little bit of detail to my clusters. And honestly, this is what it looks like truly in my scrapbook room when I do embellishment clusters. I just try things. So I grab all the little pieces and I'm just looking through, pulling out different things, trying them out, seeing if I like how they look. A lot of times, like with things like this, I am thinking about how I can cut the boot part of the die cut off and just keep the flowers because I don't necessarily want the boot. And so you'll see me cut that apart here in a second and end up tucking that in at the top of that circle part as well. So I'm just building more layers, adding more detail, and I'm just going to continue doing that until I feel like I'm done. So I'm happy with how things look. I tried to get these little gingham hearts in here, and I think I have tried to get these in every single project I have done, and they have yet to actually make the cut. And they won't make the cut in this layout either. I do go back to my stamps and pull out this one that says Love You More. And I stamped that with that same eucalyptus, and I'm going to add it to the cluster on top of my photos because that was the only cluster that didn't have a stamped element, and I felt like it needed one. So because I had stamping in my other two clusters, I felt like that cluster also needed to have stamping. And then I'm going to go ahead and just keep looking for what else I can add. I have fussy cut a couple of little flowers here, and I'm adding those into my embellishment clusters as well. Because I want that look to be consistent throughout my layout, I went ahead and added one little fussy cut flower to each of my two embellishment clusters around my photo. And then I'm going to add one in that top corner as well. So when I'm designing embellishment clusters, the big thing I'm trying to make sure of is that I want things to be balanced. So if I have an element like stamping appear in two of the clusters, it also needs to go in the third one. Same thing when I'm looking at things like fussy cut flowers. I want to have fussy cut flowers then in all three of those clusters. So I go back to my big patterned alphas and I pull that out thinking that that's what I'm going to use for the alpha, and I decide that I don't like it. So I really want my word to be contained basically within that white stripe block, just because I feel like that kind of follows the vibe of the paper. So I'm going to end up going to my stash and pulling out these black puffy foam words from Dear Lizzie, and I'm just going to use the one that says Fave. I try to get the word my on here, and I don't like how it's laying and working with the background colors. So I'm just going to go with Fave. And then I'm going to go ahead and pull out a few of these little phrase stickers because I want to add those as well. And I really love adding all these different little tiny phrase stickers into my clusters. So a few of those are going to go in that top cluster above my photo. And then I'm going to have one that also goes above this word Fave. So I'm just I play around a lot with where I want them to go, when in the grand scheme of things, it probably doesn't matter, you guys. And especially when this is a page like just about tiramisu. Like, granted, it's the best tiramisu that I've ever had, but still, it's just a page about dessert. So it's going to be okay. All right, so I'm going to get those three little phrases stuck in there. And then I feel like because they have a little bit of metallic, I also need to have a little bit of metallic throughout my clusters. So I'm going to go for three of these little metallic hearts, and these are just from that same sticker book, and they're not super bright. They're a little bit more matted, like muted color, and I really like that for this particular layout, so they're not going to like have this huge standout look. And then I'm just going to go ahead and add three little sequins to each of my embellishment clusters as well. So I'm going to grab one of the bright orange ones, one of the little like matted kind of copper, almost coppery looking ones from this Spiegel Mom scrap set. And then I'm also going to grab a black one. So I've got 3 different sequin like mixes and styles going here, but they all like mix together super well. So it totally works and I like it. So I'm going to have 3 of those in each of my embellishment clusters, and I'm just kind of staggering up where I want them to be so that they look somewhat intentional, but not like too organized, I guess. And that's basically going to do it for this layout. So hopefully you enjoyed seeing what I created with my For the Love of Homemade kits for the month of February. I will be back again to see you guys very soon with some more projects and process videos. Until then, I hope you are getting into your craft room and creating at least 15 minutes a day. If you haven't heard me say that, please, 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 15 minutes a day. I'll talk to you soon. Bye.